This RAG agent took me less than 5 minutes to set up, and honestly, it's the easiest RAG workflow I've ever tried. So let me show you what it can do. So if I open the chat and post my 2 questions and send it off, the agent hits the Pinecone tool twice because it's asking 2 questions, and it not only gives me the right answers, but it also cites the exact document, the page number, and the quote it pulled from the PDFs. And that's the only way you can actually trust what it says. So here it spat out the answer. So if I read this, Apple's report basic earnings per share of $5.64. And then over here is where it gives the page number. So it's page 8 to 10, and then quote. So if I just copy this, for example, and I go to my document, I'll paste it in here, then this is where it got the answer from. And it's on page 9, as you can see. So that is spot on in the middle between page 8 and 10. Now, if you've built RAG agents before, you know how hard it is to usually get your model to show where its data came from. Like you'd normally have to set up a whole metadata tagging pipeline, and here I just dropped in one PDF and simply started chatting. And that's it. So let's build this exact same system step by step, and feel free to follow along. And if you want to make your life easier, just leave a like and comment RAG below, and I'll send you over the template so you can just plug and play. So we're using Pinecone's Assistant feature as our retrieval engine, and Pinecone is best known as a vector store, but they recently added this Assistant section, as you can see over here, that lets you chat directly with your data. So I already have one set up, but let's make a new one. Just call it demo, for example. Oh, lowercase, sorry, demo, create assistant. So once your assistant's set up, you can see it's a very similar layout as the custom GPTs. So now if I go over here to files, I can upload my Apple PDF, and it will process. And once it's done, I can ask it the exact same questions to see where it gets its answer from and sort of just test it out before I put it in my agent. And the power here isn't just the chat interface that you see over here, it's that Pinecone gives you an API to connect this assistant anywhere. So through the API, you can do 2 things. You can upload files and you can chat with the assistant. So since our files are already uploaded, we'll focus on the chat endpoint. All right, let's hook this up to n8n. So first, let's add in an AI agent, and here by tools. If we search for Pinecone, you'll see there's no native tool for the assistant feature. So we will just use this HTTP tool, and we're going to use this import curl function. So if I head over here back to my assistant and I go to the connect, make sure this is in shell and not in Python. And if I copy everything besides this Pinecone API key line and I import over here, oops, you'll see everything is filled in, and all I need to do is get my API key. And obviously, if you use your predefined credentials, so log in here, then it makes it easier. But for now, let's just do this. So to get the API key, we head back into Pinecone, go to API key, and we can create a new one, demo 3. And we copy this key and paste it in here. And what we want to change at the top over here, so we can say, use this tool to talk to your knowledge base. So the final tweak we want to make is over here in the content section, is to make our query dynamic. So right now it's hard coded over here. So first thing is to switch this to expression. We will delete this out our curly brackets. In dollar from AI, we add our quotes, and we will put in search query, just like that. And this basically lets the AI decide what query to send to Pinecone based on the user's input. So this is pretty much all we need to do for the setup. So next, let's give the AI a brain. So I will just use OpenAI for this. And 4.1 mini, that's okay. So if we hit save and we open the chat, clear that chat. So in 2025, what was Apple's earnings per share? So we got an answer, and it is $564. And I fact checked this and it was correct from the document. But notice it's not showing us which document or which page the data came from, and it's not giving us a quote. And that's because we haven't added a system prompt. So let's do that. Okay, so to add the prompt, we just go to our agent, add option, system message. We remove this, and I'll put in this prompt. So If you're an AI agent specialized in analyzing earnings, reports, data, use your Pinecone tool to search through reports from Apple. When answering, always cite your sources, so document name, page number, section, and include an exact text quote. Okay, so if we rerun this query, we'll see that over here we get the answer again, and we have the page number, so 9 to 11. And it gives us the PDF name and a quote. But I promise you, if I take this and I put it over here and search for this, there's no results found. So here's why. Pinecone's default API returns a summarized snippet, and not the literal text. So to fix that, we'll adjust our API call. But let me first show you over here. So this is what it brings back. So the content, and this is a summarized snippet, not the actual text, and that's why it's not matching to our PDF. So if we head into the Pinecone docs and we go to chat with an assistant, standard interface, and then on the right-hand side, we scroll all the way down to include citation highlights in the response. So you will see this line of code over here, and this allows Pinecone to take exact citations that your AI can actually use, because currently, as I mentioned, it just sort of uses a summary. So we copy that and we go back into N8N, and then right over here under your model, you put a comma and then you paste that in, and that is it. If we run the same query again, then we'll get the correct answer plus the exact text it pulled from the document. So let's give it a shot. So once we run it again, we see the answer again, 564. And then we have the source, so Apple PDF, we have the page number 9 to 11, and then we have this over here. So if I just copy this quote and I go back to my doc and I search for this, you can see it got the value straight from this line, and this was on page 10, which is exactly what it said, page 9 to 11. And that's how you get full transparency. You know exactly where every answer came from. And this just shows you how flexible Pinecone's API actually is. And you can tweak things like the model, the temperature, the sampling just by editing parameters within your N8N node. So let's talk performance. So by using the system, it's not only cheaper, but it's faster and also more accurate. And that's because it handles everything automatically. So indexing, embedding, chunking, and retrieval logic all built in. You just upload the files and you start chatting. Traditional RAG pipelines require all this manual setup like chunk size tuning, metadata tagging, and embedding management, and Pinecone just does it all for you. So wrapping up, I'm not saying Pinecone's assistant is always the perfect choice. It does cost 5 cents an hour to keep active, but if you want to spin up a RAG system fast, it's unbeatable, especially beginners who just want something that works. If you want to try out this exact setup yourself, drop a RAG in the comments and I'll send you over the template. And thank you so much for watching, and if you learned something new, give this video a like. It really helps a ton, and it tells me to keep making these deep dive tutorials like this one. So see you in the next one.